In this video, we'll be learning about the slope-intercept form of a line. This form will be very useful since you'll be able to read off important information about the line just by looking at the equation. Also, equations of lines given in this form are relatively easy to graph. We say that an equation of a line is written in slope-intercept form if it is written in the form y equals some number m times x plus some other number b. It turns out that when our equation is written in this way, the number m here in front of the x will tell us the slope of the line, and the number b at the end tells us the y-intercept of the line. One thing to note is that if we are given any equation of a line, we can always write the slope-intercept form for that line just by solving for y. Let's now look at some examples of writing equations of lines in slope-intercept form. In example A here, we're looking at a line with slope m equals -3/2 and y-intercept 0, 7. Since we're given both the slope and the y-intercept, writing the equation in slope-intercept form is really easy. It's just a matter of plugging the appropriate values in. We're going to plug in -3/2 for the slope m, and we're going to plug in 7 for the y-intercept b. So our equation looks like y equals -3/2 times x plus 7. And that's all we have to do if we're given both the slope and the y-intercept. Now, we're not always going to be given the y-intercept, so sometimes it requires a little bit more work. Let's look at example B. In example B, we're told that the slope of the line is 3, and it goes through a point 2, -1. Since we don't know the y-intercept, we can't directly use this formula y equals mx plus b. Instead, what we can do is we can start by writing down an equation of a line using the point-slope form that we learned about in our last video. Remember that the point-slope form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And we have all the information that we need to write down the equation in this form. Plugging in the appropriate values here, we have y minus -1 equals 3 times x minus 2. The double negatives here we can simplify and rewrite our equation as y plus 1 equals 3 times x minus 2. And this here is the equation for our line in point-slope form. Now remember that if we're given any equation of the line, we can write the equation in slope-intercept form by solving for y. So all we have to do now is take this point-slope form equation, solve for y, and we'll be able to write it in slope-intercept form. Now what we're going to do first is we're going to take the slope 3 here, we're going to distribute it inside the parentheses. That's going to give us y plus 1 equals 3x minus 6. Now there's just one last step to isolate the y. We'll subtract 1 from both sides to give us y equals 3x minus 7. And this here is the slope-intercept form for our line. One thing to note is that once we have it in slope-intercept form, it tells us what the y-intercept is. The number at the end, the -7 here, is the y-intercept for our line. So we know that this line here will go through the point 0, -7. In example C, we're given a line that goes through 2 points, -2, 1 and 6, 3. In this example, we don't know what the slope is, and we also don't know what the y-intercept is. So our first task here will be to figure out what's the slope. We can find that out using the slope formula. Remember that we can calculate the slope using m equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Plugging in our points, we have 3 minus 1 divided by 6 minus -2. In the numerator, 3 minus 1 gives us 2. In the denominator, 6 minus -2 gives us 8. And 2 divided by 8 can be simplified as 1/4. So the slope in this problem is 1/4. Now, we still don't know what the y-intercept is, so we can't directly use the formula y equals mx plus b. So just like our previous example, we're going to start by using the point-slope form. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Using negative 2 comma 1 as our point and plugging in the appropriate values, we have y minus 1 equals 1/4 times x minus negative 2. Again, we'll rewrite the double negatives here, so our equation will look like y minus 1 equals 1/4 times x plus 2. This here is the equation for our line in point-slope form. Now, if we want to write it in slope-intercept form, all we have to do is solve for y. To solve for y, we'll start by distributing the 1/4 inside the parentheses to get y minus 1 equals 1/4 times x, and then 1/4 times 2 gives us 1/2. Lastly, add 1 to both sides to isolate the y. We get y equals 1/4 times x plus, if we take 1/2 and we add 1 to that, that's going to give us 3/2 or 1.5. And that's it. The equation of our line in slope-intercept form is y equals 1/4 x plus 3/2. So in this video, we learned how to write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form. In our next video, we'll learn about parallel lines and perpendicular lines.